Toby, I know you want love and attention, and you deserve all the love and attention in the world, my friend, but I gotta shoot this video. I'll spend some time with you in a little bit, okay? Ever since he got his own merch, it's really gone to his head. You know, I remember when I pulled her out of the incubator. She was the last one to fully emerge from her shell. She was much smaller than the other birds, and she even needed some extra time to dry off in the incubator before I brought her out to her brothers and sisters. But when I held her in my hands and pulled her out, I got to admit that I fell in love with the littlest gosling. And in today's video, I want to tell you the story of that little gosling. Release the quackers! Now, when I tell you that this tiniest gosling was small, I mean she was wicked small. Even on the day that she was born, she was about 30% smaller than all the other goslings I had. But that's not to say that I didn't think she deserved to grow up though. Here on Goldshaw Farm, I believe that even the animals that are being raised for food deserve their best possible lives. And so very early on, I made the decision that I wanted to raise the tiniest gosling and see if I could help her grow and thrive and become a happy adult. And I knew she was gonna need a lot of extra help. Number one, she was so tiny. And number two, she had a bad leg problem. You know, I made previous videos where I thought it was spraddle leg, which is a condition that sometimes impacts young ducks, geese, and chickens. But as she got older, I started to wonder if that was the case. You know, to help her with her walking problems, my wife Allison and I decided that it was important to give her physical therapy. Which I know sounds crazy for a farmer to want to give its animal physical therapy. But it actually seemed like the best course of action to us. You know, I started off by actually taking like a zip tie and tying it between her legs to help try to get the back leg to move with the front leg. Eventually I moved on to using a straw with an elastic band going through it. And then even as she got even older, I decided to use sports wrap and use that as a way to try to bring it together. All in the name of trying to get her wonky leg to move with her good leg. I knew that if she was gonna have a happy and healthy life around our farm, she needed to have the good mobility that comes from having two good working legs. My wife Allison and I also spent a fair amount of time giving her aqua therapy, where we would put her in a little bowl of water and let her swim around and use her legs and kick and flap and move, thinking that that might also help stimulate her and also help her development. We were super careful to make sure she was dried off and nice and warm and toasty. Just like I'm nice and warm and toasty. And she genuinely seemed to enjoy those swims. We tried to give her special concoctions comprised of egg whites, egg yolk, and chick rower. We gave her extra brewer's yeast so she would have a good supply of niacin. Nutritionally speaking, we wanted to make sure she was not having to compete with her brothers and sisters, because as they were all growing up quickly, it was very clear that she was still lagging way behind. You can see right there, that's the duck courting ritual. It ain't exactly romantic. You know, I knew that she needed this extra help nutritionally because her brothers and sisters were starting to grow like weeds. You know, baby ducks, baby chickens, they grow quickly, but baby goslings are like monsters. They make this weird transition from little balls of fluff to dinosaurs in a matter of about 3 or 4 days. I swear that I feel like it always happens one day when I'm gonna check on the birds and see how they're doing that morning, and I go and look at them, and it's like they've magically turned into dinosaurs. You see, this batch of goslings that I have right here, they're about 2 weeks old. And they're ready to go outside now during the day. They're ripping and shredding at grass. And they are doing perfectly from a developmental standpoint. This was actually the same batch of goslings that was hatched out with the littlest gosling. And you can just see how much bigger they are versus how big she is. That's kind of crazy and that's kind of unheard of. Now, like I said before, geese grow very quickly. And the fact that she hasn't grown that fast is somewhat alarming. And so the other week I actually took her out of that batch of goslings when they were already about 3 or 4 times her size. And I had another batch of goslings that hatched. And I moved her in here with some of my other littlest goslings who had just hatched. Hey guys. How's everybody doing this morning? You're getting big, you're already climbing on your heater. Wow, that's a milestone, developmentally speaking. Pretty soon I'm gonna have to put all your food and water up on the big tray to catch all the mess. Want some fresh grass? And that second batch of goslings is doing so well as well. And now my biggest concern though was they were starting to grow so fast that they were outpacing the littlest gosling too. I doubled and redoubled my efforts to take care of the littlest gosling. You know, Allison was spending extra time just nourishing her, but the craziest thing was happening. Here we had a gosling who was about 2 weeks old but she had not grown an ounce since the day she was born. You know, last year when we got a batch of goslings shipped to us, we had this one gosling that was kind of doing something similar. It never grew like the rest of its brothers and sisters. The difference was, though, that gosling died in 4 days. The littlest gosling made it to her 2-week birthday, and she just still hadn't gotten any bigger. It made me start to wonder even, is she maybe half duck and half goose? You know, like a deuce? You know, the other thing that I was thinking about is the fact that a gosling that never grows up isn't necessarily a bad thing. While I love my geese, they can be a little bit. So the idea of a permanent baby, something that doesn't grow, I don't know, it kind of seemed like fun and interesting. If I really step back and think about it and think about the natural world, something that doesn't grow isn't natural. I'm a person who very much believes that in this life, you are either growing or you are dying. Nature is in a constant state of growth and death. Animals are in a constant state of growth and death. People are in a constant state of growth and death. That is just an absolute fact of the world that we live in. So yesterday though, I noticed something different with the littlest gosling. Even though she couldn't walk right, she always had a lot of energy and was very mobile and very active. But yesterday I noticed that she was listless and lethargic, and I tried to feed her and she wouldn't eat. Tried to give her water and she wouldn't drink. I've even force fed a couple of things on her, just trying to get some stuff into her system towards the end of the day. But when I came out here to check on the birds to do my night checks, she'd passed away. She was surrounded by her brothers and sisters, and as I held her little lifeless body there in my hand, I felt very sad last night. I feel sad this morning even, to be quite blunt. And it has me recognizing that in some ways you just can't fight nature. As hard as I worked to try to save her, and as much as I did to try to help her grow right and become a happy, healthy gosling adult, it just wasn't in the cards. She'd lost the genetic lottery somehow. She either had failure to thrive or some sort of defect. I don't know. It's a shame and it's a disappointment, but it's also very much what life is here on the farm. It is that endless cycle of life and death.
How's it going this morning, Mr. Toby Dog? Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, look at that. I think Toby has a tick on his face. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Ooh, there we go. Hey, I got them all out. It's okay. Would you look at that? Definitely looks like a dog tick that I got right there. And didn't get too much of a chance to get a bite into Toby. Crush him good. Take that as a PSA, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely tick season, and you should be watching and checking your animals as well as yourself. All right, Toby, since you were such a good boy with that tick, I'm gonna give you some of the really good stuff for breakfast this morning. That's right, your favorite dog food tube. Boink. There you go. Sorry, buddy. Chickens, get out of here. Go. Come on, chickens. You are actually driving Toby crazy. I want to just let him have some nice happy meal. Come on.